Good evening, everyone. You are welcome to Eretmis Cyber Chats. We do this every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. And tonight, as usual, we are starting off. You are all welcome. Happy Friday to everyone. Like Alan will always say, you are most welcome. Kindly put your location where you're joining us from in the chat. Halfway through the program, we are going to acknowledge everybody. And I appreciate everybody who is, saying hello to everyone in the chat. Please go ahead and put your location that you're joining us from in the chat. And we are also transmitting live on YouTube. So good news, our YouTube channel, I think we are currently at 223,000. About 3 weeks or 4 weeks ago, we just hit 10K. And within that span, we hit 200K already. So appreciate everybody's support and help. So kindly put your location in the chat, and we are starting time now. So tonight we will be looking at our Cybersecurity GRC. Now for our entry-level internship, we've made it a full-blown GRC internship that you are going to go through. So we are launching that tonight, and we are going to go through all the different aspects of it and what is included in the curriculum now, what is the change, and then also the companies that we are working for. We're still going to hang on to the two companies we're working for during the internship. And then we are going to look at some of the inputs from our just past interns who did their graduation last week. Probably watch some excerpts from their graduation as well, right? You are welcome to Eretmis Academy. Eretmis Academy is a cybersecurity training institute based out of New York, and they are the ones bringing you this every Friday night. And I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. I'm your facilitator for Cyber Chats for the most part. I'm a former United States Army captain. I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy and also the CEO of Eretmis Inc. And Eretmis Inc. is a cybersecurity PCI QSA company based out of New York. And we also do all other cybersecurity consulting services as well. So you are welcome. We are going to get started. Now, before we jump into this, we are partners. Eretmis Academy is an authorized partner with CompTIA. And what does this mean to you and everybody within the Eretmis family? You save 20% on all CompTIA exams. So if you want to write any of these CompTIA Security Plus, Security Analyst exams, and the rest, just reach out to us and we will show you how you are going to get your 20% discount. Now, for continuous education, for cybersecurity certifications, once you write it, once you've written it, right, every 3 years you have to renew. So you can renew by either resitting for the exam and passing, or you can show that you've been continuously learning and improving your skill set as a security professional, and you can use that towards your renewal, right? We call that continuing education or like continual education points. So with this chart that you are on right now, you will be able to, or you are able to use it to show that you are continuously learning and improving your security knowledge and skill. So how to go about this? We've gone over this a couple of times. I think Michael did go over this a couple of times, but we've had several folks reaching out to ask how they will be able to go about this. So we are going to just demonstrate for CompTIA, right? Just briefly, and then we'll move forward. So for CompTIA, if you have any CompTIA certifications and it's coming up for renewal, when you go to CompTIA's website, you are going to go to add CEUs. So CompTIA, for their continuous education, they call it CEUs. So you are going to click on this. It's going to take you to a page that looks like this one. right? And then it's going to ask you, you can submit webinars and, the number of hours that the webinars lasted for. So for us, you need only 10 CEUs towards this renewal, right? So if you've been to 10 cyber chats, whether live or you watch it on YouTube, you can use it as well, right? So this is what you are going to be using. And this is where you go to add these, like the individual cyber chats that you've been to or the ones that you watched on YouTube, right? So hopefully everybody is good on this now. And we have a WhatsApp group, right? We are going to post the link at the end of the program. So you can join our WhatsApp group. The invitation to all cyber chats and everything that we do, we post in the WhatsApp group. We are almost like 950 on the WhatsApp group. So you kindly join. Very informative, and you have like-minded people on there, trying to share ideas as well. So you'll be able to gain a lot of insight from your other colleagues who are on there. Okay. And also for our YouTube channel, kindly subscribe. Like I said, we are almost 230,000 now. So kindly spread the word. We have a lot of really good info on our YouTube channel. Everything we do for cyber chat, we do post it on YouTube. So you can go there and revisit other cyber chat that you probably missed and learn a lot from it, right? And so tonight we are going to jump into our new Cybersecurity GRC, or our improved and even better Cybersecurity GRC internship that we are going to launch tonight. And before we move into the actual GRC internship, we are going to be looking at some cyber news, right? So in the news, before we jump into the cyber news that Dr. Edo is bringing, like we always do when we started almost a month ago, I'll pick two cyber news from the family, and then we are going to discuss the cyber news that Dr. Edo is bringing this week, right? So if you have any cyber news, yes, Brian, please go ahead. You can raise your virtual hand and we'll give you the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wanted to talk about Change Healthcare. They had a big cybersecurity attack, and it was a ransomware attack, and rumor has it that it was a Screen Connect exploit that happened that they were able to get in. So also the rumor is that they paid $22 million in ransomware. Don't know if that's true or not, but
Wow.
they still are scrambling to get everything back in order because patients can't receive their prescriptions, doctors can't operate correctly. It is one of the largest healthcare cybersecurity attacks that has ever happened so far. So it's affecting patients, it's affecting how doctors get paid, it's affecting how nurses get paid, it's affecting the whole healthcare system. And it was the payment side that got affected. So that's what happened.
Oh, okay. So that also has some PCI twist to it.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
All right. All right. Thank you, Brian. Anybody else with cyber news for this week? All right, then we are going to move on to the one Dr. Edo is bringing. I appreciate your insight, Brian. So in cyber news this week, TikTok is in the news, and they are in the news for what? So US lawmakers, and I don't know, like around 2020, right? There was this beef between President Trump and TikTok, going back and forth, and he was trying to ban TikTok in the United States, but the courts didn't uphold that. They thought it was an infringement on the rights of people and then on the rights of the company. Now, this week, US lawmakers, they approved a bill forcing TikTok to divest their company or face a ban, right? So the House, they've given them 6 months to sell some of their shares to probably some US partners or some other partners in Europe, because Congress or these lawmakers, they are concerned that TikTok might be leaking the information of United States citizens to China, which we don't know that for a fact, but that is a concern. So that is why they are coming up with this bill. So if TikTok thinks they are not going to comply with this, then the US is going to ban them. So nobody in the US will be able to use TikTok. It's not going to be available in Apple Store and Google Play Store, in the United States. And currently, TikTok they have over 170 million US users, right? So a lot of content creators who are making money on TikTok, companies who are advertising on TikTok that is helping their business and all that, is in question now. Because if TikTok does not comply, then, all these people are going to be affected, right? And it looks like they are kind of being forced, to do this, but then US also, the lawmakers, they have a genuine concern. So they probably both companies or both the lawmakers and TikTok will probably have to come to an amicable settlement, because during this vote, it was 50-0, right? So everybody on there agreed to, yes, we are going to ban them if they don't, sell some of their shares and kind of diversify their stakeholders, because US suspects that China is uh, the Chinese government is behind this, right? So that is one of the biggest in the news. And TikTok says it has not and would not share US user data with the Chinese government. That is what they are saying, and I don't think the lawmakers believe them. So that is why they are forcing them to, you know, uh, maybe split up some of their equity, so the US will be more comfortable and know that is not TikTok is not solely owned by a Chinese investment company, or they don't have any strong ties with the Chinese government, right? So maybe probably when we are done with cyber news, you can also share your take on this, at least two or three people from the audience, and then we'll move on. So that is our first cyber news for this week. Now, the second one has to do with an FBI report that came out this week also. And this report was about cybercrime, and one of the most expensive the most costly cybercrime in 2023. Guess what that was? Anybody? I mean, I know it's on the screen, but what would have been your guess? The biggest or the most costly cybercrime in 2023? What anybody from the audience, or maybe a couple of folks from the audience?
Ransomware.
Yeah, ransomware. Okay, Prince and AD, they said ransomware. Anybody else? Phishing. Okay. Go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say, not ransomware phishing, but it was what they take people's identity theft, fraud.
Identity theft. Okay. Uche, please go ahead.
Yes, social engineering.
Social engineering. Yes. Social engineering. In the broader perspective, yes. Social engineering. So there is this ransomware gang. They call themselves Lockbit. They are really notorious for, hitting most US companies with ransomware and collecting huge sums of money. They are like a big company, at least for one ransomware, just an example of what Brian was talking about. For big companies, once they hit you, at least they will take not anything, they don't take anything less than uh, 10 million dollars, right? So 10, 15, 20, and sometimes they don't even release your data because they will encrypt the data, so they'll take your data hostage. That is where we get the name ransom and the where. So it's a malicious software that they are going to use to, capture your data and hold it hostage until you pay, right? Sometimes even when you pay, they don't release the information, right? So this crime company, if you have to call it that way. They are most notorious for, hitting companies with ransomware and, collecting huge sums of money. Now, in 2023, though, they also push a form of cyber attack that is outside ransomware. And this is what they were pushing was more on the side of investment fraud, right? So investment fraud was the most expensive or the most costly in terms of money lost from companies and from everybody else, right? So what they did was they will pose to have some investment. So different phishing attacks or like different phishing campaigns will send such campaigns out about investment, and people will fall for it, and people will pay, hoping and thinking they are going to get some good returns on their investment. So some of these were even in the crypto space, right? You are going to pay in, hoping it's a genuine investment, and then you later to find out it's a bogus investment, right? So that cost, it's like it cost almost 4.5 billion, more than the 2022, which the same type of attack the attackers were able to pull off, or they were able to, gain in excess of 3.3 billion. So there was an increase from 2022 to 2023, an increase of almost 40%, right? An increase of almost 40% in this type of attack. So although they are making this particular company, they are making some money out of ransomware, but then the most that they made in terms of cybercrime and the type of, attack that was very successful for them was the investment fraud. Right? So just be on the lookout for such campaigns. So sometimes they'll have a full-blown website. It's not just an email. It looks very legit. It looks genuine. There are people who are even going to call you, or you are going to call somebody who will be on the receiving end to answer your questions and all that. That doesn't make it legit, right? So please do your due diligence and dig more into these if you want to invest in any form of investment venture. So, and also, second to, guess what the second highest, costliest cybercrime was after your investment fraud? Next to that was what we talked about last 2 weeks, business email compromise, right? So where these attackers will come up with some social engineering tricks, and they are able to send bogus invoices to companies to pay. And, in today's times that we are in, it's very easy to fall for this, right? To the point where they have like deepfake setups where you have your CEO or somebody in high authority talking to you via Zoom or whatever, but then it's going to be some AI doing all that, and you think it's a natural person, and they look and sound exactly like your boss or whoever is giving you that instructions. So, next to the most costliest was also business email compromise, like we discussed last 2 weeks, and attackers were able to get away with almost 3 billion in this form of attack, right? And there were almost 21,000 complaints that were filed with FBI. Now, these are all these figures, they are from attacks that were reported, right? So companies that felt, ashamed to even report this, all those numbers we didn't get, right? So that is for cyber news for this week. Any take from the audience, and then we are going to move ahead. We're going to take just 2 or 3. If you have maybe something on these lines or some personal experience with this, you can chime in, and then we are going to move on into our internship, GRC internship that we are launching tonight. Rainey, please go ahead.
Yeah, I got impacted this week. I had paid my Verizon bill, and after I paid it, someone, well, I don't know, with one or two people, they sent me an email saying that if you don't pay your Verizon bill, this is going to happen. But the thing was is that I'd already paid it. So I knew this was a scam trying to go through, and they were just trying to get access to my information. And then I had another one where I've been getting a couple of them, but now I'm starting to get real smart on what to look for since I've been in your classes. And it seems to be working. It's like, don't open it up. Don't do, because I'm getting a lot about the cloud. Like, your cloud, we're going to take all your files and we're going to do this if you don't hurry up. And I'm saying to myself, So when I called my phone company up, they said that's a scam because we don't send anything like that out. So don't even worry about it. Ignore it and delete it. And I said I try to block it, but they use different numbers to contact you and send another email out. So they just, now that I know the setup, I just don't even, I just delete them.
Okay.
Yep.
Great to know, Rainy, and great insight. Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody else? Alan, please go ahead.
Just want to talk about the crime aspect of it. But I was reading last week the release of NIST CSF 2.0. Is it happened last week? I don't know. I was reading last week, so it came out significantly. It impacts the security software supply chains. And still I'm reading to learn it. I just want to mention it. So that release was, it talked about the new components on the software supply chains. So I'm encourage everybody to read it. So I'm still learning.
Okay. Okay, Alan, thank you for that. All right. So we are going to jump into our Cybersecurity GRC internship. We are launching this evening. And this is not a new program, but it's an improved one moving forward. I think there is another hand up. So we are going to take Raymond and then we will move forward. Go ahead, Raymond.
Hi, good evening. Thank you, Dr. Hadu. Yeah, it's regarding the attack on United Healthcare. That is actually still they are still fighting it since February 21, which was reported that it was black hats. And I think I read it today that they paid a ransom of $22 million. So it's still on the news, and I think every week now it's still there, and they've not been able to find a solution to that. I think they're saying that they are building an alternative they are building an alternative server and a new database for their system. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Raymond. And maybe since we are all here learning, since this is the second time we are bringing up this type of ransomware, I want maybe 2 or 3 people to give some insight. How do you think a company can prevent, or not prevent, but how do you think a company will be able to recover very easily from a ransomware attack, right? And like I said earlier on, for ransomware attack, if you're not very familiar with it, you know how back in the days, criminals will kidnap somebody and they'll ask for money before they release that person, money in terms of ransom, before they release that person, or that, mostly it was like a high profile person or their family or something on those lines. In the cyberspace, they do the same thing, but here they are not kidnapping people, they are kidnapping your data, right? So your data in your systems, and they are asking for money, right? How they do it, or the whole concept of it, is what we term as ransomware. So the ransomware, it comes out of malicious software, which malicious software is also simply a bad software that attackers are going to use to, take over your system, right? So either encrypt or simply just take over and be able to steal your data, right? So a form of that is if they are able to capture your information and they are asking for money, then we term it as ransomware, right? So how do you think you as an individual or a company can protect themselves against ransomware? Or even if it does occur, what measures would you have put in place prior to that to help your organization or yourself to easily recover from this, right? Anybody want to share some insight? Or, I think there are some hands up already. Demetrius, please go ahead.
First thing that comes to mind is backup, whether it be cloud or some type of physical storage like a NAS, a SAN, etc. Whatever the company can afford. I mean, it's going to depend, but overall backup, yeah.
Yeah. So with backup, like Demetrius just said, I'm going to break it down grandpa style. So with the example that I gave, right, you know how they can kidnap somebody and ask for money? That is the traditional ransom form of attack. So what if we could clone that person that they kidnap, right? We probably clone another Demetrius who is exactly, everything that we need from Demetrius, he has. So we can clone. So if they take Demetrius, the one Demetrius, we have 3 of them. If they take one, what do we care? They can take that away. Take that Demetrius. We have 2 more, right? So any information that we need, if Demetrius has to go to work, he has to do something, he's able to do that. The second Demetrius will be doing all that and everything will be fine. That is backup. Right now, obviously for people and human beings, we cannot clone ourselves, but for data, we can clone data. And, cloning is not the right word, but we can back up data. So we are just making copies, right? So when they capture this data and they are like, if you don't pay me, I'm not going to give you that data. We will be like, you can take it for all we care, because guess what? We have the same type of data that we can use for anything that we are doing. Right. So backup is one of the key ways that we can, overcome this. So you might be thinking, this hospital is a huge hospital. If they have 22 million to pay for a ransom, it means they have enough to employ or put in place the resources to be able to have a really good backup. That way, this would have been like, okay, we don't care. We have the backup, so you can take the data that you took. Right. But mostly that is not the case. Some of these companies, they don't take security as seriously, or they'll pretend they are taking security seriously until they get hit with, things like this. Go ahead, Kingsley.
Yeah, I was going to say backup and also make sure that your data is encrypted at every point. So even if they have that data, they might not be able to make any sense out of it if it's properly encrypted.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Kingsley. Arini, please go ahead.
Yeah, I also have the same idea. Encryption of data at rest and in motion. Ensure that there is strong authentication processes for users of the system. Also strengthening the segregation of duties, saying that one person does not start the process and end it, so that another person's work will be checked by another person. Then keeping the security barriers. In other words, introduce zero trust for each layer of security for the organization, saying that the CEO self is not trusted. That would be a strong way. And then education, safety awareness for the entire staff, regular, at least every quarter or every half a year. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Arini. Jamal, please go ahead.
Yes, mine was with the backup also, and I'm just asking this question. I don't know if it's a practice or not, but is there a way to possibly set up decoy honeypots that would look similar to the actual data, and then when they hit one of the honeypots, it would redirect them into an area which would simultaneously detect you to let someone know, that they're trying to get in also?
Yes, it's very possible, right? Like companies, they do that. The whole, like some companies who are taking security, seriously they do that. And those are also forms of defense, right? And with the honeypot and your honey net, you use that to study your attacker and then also to see how they move and how they operate. So yes, you can do that, right? That is if the company is willing to invest in that area of defense, right? But great question, Mo. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so I'm thinking of having a good incident response plan, which could include all that has been talked about, like having backup and so you can quickly spring into action once an incident takes place.
Yes, great point, Mike. So, we discussed incident response on Cyber Chat a while ago, and we use some case studies to see what incident response looks like in real time and why the need for incident response and all that. So one of the reasons why it's taking this company a while to respond to this and to have it under control. I don't know what they have for incident response, so I can only speculate. And also based on my professional experience, companies with really strong incident response program in place and a very strong incident response team in place, mostly when they get hit with an incident like this, no matter how grave the incident is, they are easily able to put it under control within the shortest possible time. Right. But companies that are not taking incident response that seriously and they don't have a very strong and dynamic incident response team in place, it is going to take them forever, even with the slightest of incidents. Because your incident response team, they are the ones who are going to spring to action when something like this happens. And if they have, like they've been doing this and practicing with their tabletop exercises, and they have everything in muscle memory, it's going to take them way less time. A very typical example, if for your fire department, if they have not been performing drills and they've not been, practicing for the past year and there's a fire, right? How long do you think it's going to take a team of fire, personnel who have not been practicing and who have not been training together for the past 1 year, as opposed to one that has been practicing almost every week? How long is it going to take them to get their fire truck to the location of the fire and even to put it off? Right. So look at incident response. What they do at the fire department is a very typical example of incident response, right? But DS is specifically for fire and other related issues, right? So if they are very like cohesive team, they've been working together, they've been practicing different scenarios. No matter how big the fire is, they will be able to at least do something and reduce the effects of it. Right? So great point, Mike. Thank you. Naftali, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. I don't know if you're referring to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so,
no, Nathaniel. Not
Nathaniel,
Please
yes,
go ahead.
Nathaniel.
Yeah, I think that was
Yeah,
Nathaniel.
that hospital incident was a very serious case. They outsourced the equipment to the company I work with.
Oh, okay.
So, so they put in for 900,000 pieces of laptops. So like they want to change, it's a serious thing. So they want to just leave from plan A to plan B. They want a fresh start. So with the ransom money, they are still negotiating it, whether they should pay or not. So the first measure is to replace all the endpoints. So today we had our project close. The whole week we've been doing the overtime to meet up with our demand. So the 900,000 laptops are already being shipped today. Yes. So it's a serious thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
900,000 endpoints.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is.
And they hire us to change the equipment. Will process their units with like the diagnostic equipment, tool, and what have you. And then they had to do some checks on our various decks to see who is tampering with what and what have you. They brought all the way over to us. We are just on the outsource side, So they had to check your bench. They had to check your system if you're running anything. Like I had this Linux table map. I would question why is it there, what have you. I said, well, I got it for the short course of God, that's all. I don't do Linux on your machine. I only do diagnosis and repair. So yeah, so it's a serious issue, actually. United Health Group. Thank you.
Nathaniel, I'm just going to pick your brain on this. What do you think they could have done to, not be reactive, but to have been proactive before this even happened?
Yeah, they should have had a system in place. They should have had a system in place, like a strong backup. We had a team that would be able to detect and protect, even though you cannot protect our system 100%, but the least thing that will happen, maybe like some payment services or what have you, you have to always check. And so they should have put their house in order before this. And they should have had a honeypot, like the friend there mentioned. Should have had that to. This is a very big hospital. Should have had a honeypot to direct, just in case. But probably they left it like targeted back then. They left it like, yeah, we got it under control. And it's never under control. It's never under control. This is 24/7 stuff. You should always be checking.
Yeah. And like we were talking about incident response, right? This moves beyond incident response even. So from incident response, I think their business continuity and their disaster recovery program is also kind of not where it needs to be.
It was not in place, because this is like moving from point A to point B, like you're starting all over. So they already got your data in their hand, and you're still negotiating. So even if you change, you don't even have a redundancy plan in place.
Yes.
Maybe after you change, you also just transfer. And so you keep opening new point. They're just be giving us more new jobs, more new overtime. That's what they be doing. So you need to bring a team that can contain this. Yeah. The whole team can't handle it, to be frank, because they could handle it only this far.
Yeah, thank you about that.
You're welcome. And I'm new on your platform, so pretty soon I'll be giving you a call for the PCR session.
Okay, Nathaniel. Thank you. Ransford, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I just wanted to add that another way to protect against the ransomware would have been to ensure that they have good anti-malware systems and regularly updating that as well. It would have helped.
Yes, very well. Thank you. So I'm not sure the type of how they were able to get onto the network and hit them with ransomware, probably through most likely some social engineering form of phishing email that was sent out and somebody just clicked on it or something on those lines, right? Those are the easiest way attackers are able to get onto your network. Now, like Nathaniel was talking about attacks or within the cyberspace, right? You can't control the activities of attackers or threat actors outside your organization. What you can control is what you do within your organization, right? Like I always say, if you're walking down the street, you can't control the actions of other people who are walking beside you. So what are the chances that somebody is going to jump and hit you on the back of your head? Right? You can't control that. But what you can control is you don't make yourself a target. So you don't put the target behind you and say, hey, hit me at the back of my head. Right? So you control your actions. So within the company, or when it comes to risks and when it comes to attacks and cyber attacks and the rest, incidents, when it comes to incidents, incidents are inevitable. Every company is just a matter of when that you are going to get attacked. You are going to get hit with some type of ransomware or some shape or form of an incident, right? So there is nothing like zero risks. There's always going to be some level of risks. So that is why companies, it is very important for them to invest in a good incident response program, not one that you are pretending is there just to get away with some audits and the rest, but really, viable incident response program with a good incident response team in place, right? So for the internship, GRC internship that we are going to roll out, then the ones that we've been doing so far, incident response is one of the projects that we work on. right? And I can tell you, for everybody who's participated in that, if we allow them to share the experience conducting tabletop exercises and going through different scenarios and similar ones like ransomware, how to react, everybody's role, they'll be able to talk to you about this all day, right? So on the job, now, if this was supposed to happen or if they were part of the cybersecurity team, they would have taken more steps into ensuring that if their incident response program for the company was weak, they would have, revamped it to be more structured and also to be more effective, right? So with that, we move to 80 and we'll pick the rest of the hands that are up and then we'll move on. So 80, please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Eddie. So I wanted to add to the ransomware attack. So I think another way to protect from ransomware is using the network segregation and segmentation, whereby some certain type of the information will be segmented to a different area with more defense in depth to protect those information, whereby like the attacker, they don't really know the different type of information that you are protecting. So they just want to get whatever they get. So if you have them segmented and segregated, that will help too. That's just my contribution.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And next we will go to Ellen. Please go ahead.
I mean, everything was said. Yeah, incident was a big one. I just want to add, as employee awareness training is not in place, and then continuous monitoring. Those two is a big one. If employees is aware what to do, and then we can protect this ransomware. So I just want to add that one. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ellen. Johnson, please go ahead.
Yeah, so nobody is really addressing the real elephant in the room, and that's the fact that if you Google where most internet attacks happen, 90% of all internet attacks happen through the API. And anybody who knows anything about application programming interfaces will tell you that when web applications are developed, security is an afterthought. Security, it does not go into the developmental process because developers are not security people. People who develop web applications are not security-minded people. So security is always an afterthought. So what we have to do, incident response is wonderful, but what becomes before incident response and what will lessen the need for that is if developers and security work together to design the application. You cannot design a product and then say, oh, how can we protect it? The protection has to be built into the API. It has to be built into the web application. And until we bring security and developers together, we will continue to talk in circles about problems that we could probably prevent if we bring these two sides together. It can't be an afterthought. Security has to be built into the API. It has to be built into the web application. It has to be there from the start, not later. That's
right on
the
the
solution.
money. Yeah, right on the money, Johnson. And so to add to Johnson's, right, he's like exactly right on the money. Mostly when it comes to developers, they are not security people, right? So that is why for your software development lifecycle, there always have to be a cybersecurity person or a security person on there who is advocating for security, right? And then also whenever so let's say Johnson and Dr. Edu we are thinking about an application. As part of our initial thought process and the design, security has to be part of it, right? So if we don't know, we have to bring somebody on who is a security person, because not even just for all the applications, even for all the smart things that we have, smart, watch, smart everything, our Internet of Things, they are all designed with not security in mind, right? So always security is kind of an afterthought, like Johnson is saying. And if we have such after the design is where we are trying to see where we're going to fit security in there, then we are always going to run into problems and issues. Thank you, Johnson.
Yes, sir.
Jackie, please go ahead.
Okay, my 2 cents was in the incident response plan, there should be a proper disaster recovery plan and a business continuity plan, and using tools such as Vim that allows you to do backup and replication, so that you can recover and continue with business with ease after attack. So I think not just backups, but also just doing replication so that you can just quickly continue with business after your recovery. And in my opinion is that there will always be a 0 day where attackers look at things that you never thought they will be vulnerable to be attacked or be exploited. So a 0 day is always going to be there, no matter what. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Brian, please go ahead, and we will wrap it up and move forward.
Okay, real quick, to point to Johnson's, to say what on Johnson's point, if it could all be so simple, if security and the application developers could work together, it would be amazing. But the entrepreneur's mind is, I'm only going to spend this much money to hurry up and launch this product so I can make some money. I'm not caring about if it's really that secure or not, because I don't want to spend the extra money to make it secure. So that's what most of these Kickstarts will do, is develop the product to hurry up and make some money. And then later they say, okay, now to make some money, then I put the safeguards in place, which is so backwards, because it's just like when you build a house and you know you're going to be in an area where there's going to be crime. You want to have security cameras and that go along with your house once it gets built. And even sometimes when you have the house being built, you put security cameras out there so they don't come and steal your lumber, come steal all your things that you pay for. So yeah, just wanted to touch on Johnson's point that I wish it was a reality that we could work that way, but we have to get into the entrepreneur's mind that you have to have security measures in place first as well.
Great point, Brian. Great point. So you and Johnson, really great points. So, I mean, and for everybody on here, I think we all can learn something from this, because like Brian is saying, mostly I wouldn't also fault kind of the entrepreneurs that much, because they don't know what they don't know, like I always say, right? But if they will outsource, most of the things that they do in terms of if you have to do any form of web development or software, hardware, at least now everybody should be more conscious when it comes to security, right? So bring the right people on board and have them, take over and do this, rather than trying to take shortcuts and bringing your product to the market, and then security will be an afterthought. Then you find yourself in situations like this where you have to cough up money that you will normally wouldn't have, or you wouldn't, like to spend, right? So if this company, if they spent a little bit more on security, I don't think they'll be in the space that they are in. And not just the spending of it, but if they took it more seriously, and the more people they had on board and the more talent they were bringing in, maybe